When I was a little kid, my parents got a lot of comments that I looked like Shirley Temple. And I didn't bring a picture, but I really did. I had tight, bouncy curls and a round cut. I had deep dimples, and I probably had kind of an air of innocence. I knew who Shirley Temple was, of course, even though she hadn't been in films for many years, because the child version of Shirley Temple is about as famous gets. But she disappeared from the screen before she reached adulthood, and she had a whole second life and career as a politician and a diplomat. Lots of celebrities have left their careers in entertainment. John Deacon of Queen, Rick Moranis, Peter Ostrom, little Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He went on to live an utterly normal life outside of show business, never in a movie again. People talk about what it must be like to possess an extraordinary talent and to choose not to wield it. It's such a shame, people like to say. It's a shame they won't make another Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie. It's a shame we can't see what that Charlie Bucket kid grew up to be like. He was so talented, wasn't he? There's a commentary on our Parsha that speaks to this particular brand of disappointment. And it comes out of 15th century Spain from the Akedat Yitzchak. 6 days you should labor, and on the 7th day it should be sacred for you. Sheshet yamim ta'aseh malacha, u'v'yom hashvi'i yeh lachem kodesh Shabbat Shabbaton l'Adonai kol ha'oseh vo malacha yumat. It should be a Sabbath of Sabbaths. Anyone who does any work on it should be put to death. This commentator is disappointed in the idea that anyone would withhold great talents. It speaks to this idea that there might even be a wickedness in the behavior of a person of talent, say an artisan, who doesn't use every single talented bone in their body. The Akedat Yitzchak goes on to say, if an artisan ruins his reputation by failing to live up to what is expected of a man of his calling, how much more does man forfeit his claim to superior status in the universe if he fails to employ the talents with which he has been endowed? Every part of the human body is designed and exists for the performance of some distinct function. For the Akedat Yitzchak, talent is inextricable from the obligation to use that talent. Not a choice, but a mandate born of inherent giftedness. Oh, you're such a good painter, you have to paint. You sing so nicely, it's a shame you don't sing so much anymore. You know, you really should write another book. These are all the kinds of obligations to serve with one's great talents that are similar to the hints we get at the story of Bezalel, also found in our Parsha, and about which Shaya taught so beautifully. Ve'asa Bezalel ve'Oholiav ve'chol ish chacham lev. And Bezalel and Oholiav and all the people with the know-how in their heart will, should, ought to do the work commanded by God in assembling the tabernacle. This kind of obligation is what I would refer to as voluntelling someone to do a task, suggesting that Bezalel and Oholiav will certainly build the tabernacle because they were endowed with the talents to do so with beauty, and they were endowed to do it according to God's will. Chazal, our ancient rabbis, imagined that Bezalel was just 13 years old when he was introduced as chief architect. A sweet bar mitzvah boy, his life's work announced in a press conference to the entire people of Israel. Not just a job, but a calling. When someone's vocation seems to be their destiny, when they're told or they feel that they were really born to do something, stepping away or trying to step away can be terrifying. Matthew McConaughey took a 2-year break from acting, and he gave a memorable interview about his time away from the industry and subsequently considering a return. I will spare you my Matthew McConaughey impression. Dude, it was scary. I had long talks with my wife about needing to find a new vocation. I think I'm gonna teach high school classes. I think I'm gonna study to be a conductor. I think I'm gonna go be a wildlife guide. It was scary. The days are long, the sense of insignificance, but I made up my mind that that's what I needed to do, so I wasn't gonna pull the parachute and quit the mission I was on. But it was scary, because I didn't know if I was ever going to get out of the desert. This is one of the greatest burdens of an artist, when their craft feels like their mission. A sense that if they are not performing, they are withholding something that they somehow owe to the world. I think that this sense of do or die, create or fail, it extends to anybody who has a knack for producing stuff. I remember a few months ago, one of my dear friends dropped off a dessert for Shabbat, and she apologized to me that it wasn't home-baked, because she's a baker. Now, this friend really is a fantastic baker, but they didn't owe me a slice of their talent. Isn't it a wild notion that they would bear a sense of guilt for depriving me of their God-given aptitude with a rolling pin? Sometimes I wonder what Bezalel went on to do after he finished with the tabernacle. Did he retire from architectural design to create his own fashion studio? Do you think people took him out to lunch and said, you know, we really wish you took on another building project. You're so good at it. The Sfat Emet wrote that when Bezalel was appointed in charge of the project, his face actually turned into that of his grandfather, Chor, whom the Midrash recalls as a martyr who was killed for trying to step in and stop the act of the building of the golden calf. Perhaps Bezalel lived not only in the shadow of God, but also in the shadow of a legacy of martyrdom, giving his life and giving himself over to his project or projects. Researcher Jennifer Petriglieri described this pattern in an article in Harvard Business Review as the talent curse. Those with inherent talent in a field will reach a place of achievement and inevitably spiral into anxiety and worry that they will fall from grace, that they will fall from acclaim. She writes, every opportunity becomes an obligation, every challenge, a test. As I pass the midpoint in writing my own book, I see how insidious and taunting the horizon can be, how I should be approaching a sense of pride and accomplishment, but instead thoughts descend upon me like, oh God, will I write anything good ever again after this? And if I don't start the next project already now, I'll already be behind. As if, in the words of the Akedat Yitzchak, I might forfeit my claim to superior status in this universe if I step back even for a moment. But it's that very stepping back that is the key to breaking the curse. Stepping back far enough to admire that which you've accomplished, to pause meaningfully enough to, as Petriglieri puts it, treat your achievement as a destination unto itself rather than as a stepping stone. This truth lives and breathes in the very verse that inspired the Akedat Yitzchak's harsh wisdom about the duty to work in a way that gives of your talents. 6 days you should labor and toil, and then, with relief and with joy and with abandon, enter the state of Shabbat, pure, divinely inspired rest in the shadow of God, who God's self, stepped back long enough to model, saying, Ki tov, how nice is this? Twice. God, whose raison d'etre is creation, who established and gifted us with the relief of Shabbat. As we guard Shabbat, we are also doing shmirah, guardianship, over the parts of ourselves that would never otherwise rest from our craft, nor appreciate the beauty of what we've done without concerning ourselves with what we might do next. The Midrash in Bamidbar Rabbah rhapsodizes about this kind of reward as the book of Vayikra nearly comes to a close. Notzer te'ena yochal priya. The guardian of a fig tree will eat of its fruit. That's from this 27th chapter of Proverbs. The Holy One, blessed be God, does not withhold the reward of any creature, the Midrash continues. Any place that a person toils and devotes himself and his life to a matter, the Holy One, blessed be God, does not withhold his reward. You find Moshe, who devoted his life to 3 matters, and all 3 matters were called by his name. These are laws, Torah, and the Mishkan. Therefore, it is written regarding each and every item as the Lord commanded Moshe, as he would not move from overseeing them. So it says, Moshe saw all the labor, and Moshe blessed them. What blessing did he recite? The Midrash asks, V'hinoam Adonai Eloheinu aleinu, uma'aseh yadenu konena aleinu, uma'aseh yadenu konenehu. May the favor of the Lord our God be upon us. Let the work of our hands prosper. O prosper the work of our hands. And so Moshe blessed them. May the divine presence rest upon your handiwork. Even for those for whom it is an honor of a lifetime to build and perform and produce greatness, the true blessing is indeed in the enjoyment of that work. May we all be blessed to see the divine presence rest upon our handiwork, on our clean fridges, our child's bat mitzvah drosh, our paintings, our books, and our pies. And may we have the gift and the strength to step back and rest and truly enjoy our handiwork as sweet as a fig.